Hello and welcome to week 2 of Inclusive Leadership, Leadership 675. Leadership, week 2 is all about identity. So your own identity and how your identity is developed and how you work with others, how your own identity impacts your leadership. So, the things that we're going to be looking at this week are how identity is developed, our intersections of identity, and you will have an upcoming paper on the intersections of your identity and the impact of those on leadership. We're going to talk more about intersections of identity and how identity impacts people that you work with in the workforce. So we're both looking at self and then working with others throughout this class. The next slide, these are the assigned readings for the week. Surrounded by Idiots, chapters 3 through 7. So what chapter 3 does is introduce the 4 colors of the DISC model system that is used for this book about different communication and working styles from employees. Chapters 4 through 7 address each individual color. So there's one chapter on each color that goes into more depth. We'll have other chapters. There's a chapter on communication that goes into depth by color, but these chapters 4 through 7 are an overview and an introduction to the working style and personal style of the different colors. Of course, if you read chapters 1 and 2, you'll see that people often relate to more than one colors. They generally have a dominant color and then another color that they relate with. And how those things work with you, usually the colors are related. So we have the logical colors versus the very personal colors. Okay. The other readings that we're looking at are how social identity is developed, how social identity works in the workplace, and social identity within society. There's also a reading on authentic leadership and your intersections of identity. So authentic leadership, if you haven't looked at this type of leadership style yet, authentic leadership is all about being your true self. So showing the people that you are working with, the team that you are leading, your true self, being truly authentic, real with them, being transparent. And so how your own values and identity impact your ability to embrace that authentic leadership. Not all of us feel very comfortable being completely authentic within the workplace and disclosing everything there is to know about ourselves. The last reading, it's all in the details, is one of the short story readings from What If discussions about diversity. And I just really like this book because I like how the author words the little scenarios to really make you think about different concepts. Okay. We have several different discussions. So your personality and your brain. This is looking more towards the color theory that's in the Surrounded by Idiots. And then several, of course, about identity. So is your identity given or created? I'll give you a hint. It's both. So identities are both given and created, and we'll talk about this a little bit when we define identity on the next slide. How identities are socially constructed. And then intentionally intersectional leadership and the urgency of intersectionality. These are focused on the theory of intersectionality. So the intersections in identity So as I was saying, the intersectionality of identities introduced by researcher Kimberly Crenshaw, who will be giving at least one of these TED Talks and discuss how her research, and she has a book about intersectionality and a lot of different papers about intersectionality. Okay, so what's identity? Well, identity is everything about us. How we were raised, our own personal experience and memories, our relationships with other people. We can be a son or a daughter. We can be a brother, sister, sibling, aunt, uncle, mother, father. So there, and how your identity changes over time. You're an employee, you're a student, all of these different things that then also intersect with each other. So for example, I am both at the same time a mother and a daughter. And of course, I started my life as a daughter and I didn't become a mother until I was in my adulthood. But now those two identities intersect with each other. Additionally, my identity as a professor ends up intersecting with my own personal life because of the time that I am away from my family at work. So there's a lot of different, so that's when we talk about intersections of identity, is how does your role as a daughter plus your role as a mother, your role as a son or a brother or a sister, or all of those different types of things, how do those interrelate with each other? A lot of things are incorporated into your individual identity. There's a psychologist who focuses on identity work. And one of the things that she specifically studies is sibling research and how siblings raised in the same exact household under the same exact circumstances can develop two completely different identities. That how in this semi-controlled environment that they're within the same area, that they still have two completely different identities. So that understanding that identity is unique to each individual. Okay? It includes the values we hold, the choices we make, and these are all of our values: religious values, political values, ethical values. We have multiple roles, as I was talking about, and each role holds meaning and expectations about what I want to do. Identity continues to evolve over the course of an individual's life. So, like I said, my identity when I was 5 to 18 is different than what my identity is now. Okay. Identity is formed through multiple situations, as we talked about. What is your work situation? Because you have a specific identity within each job. You have an identity within your household, with your parents, your siblings and peers. You had an identity within your K through 12 schooling, and an identity within college, and now an identity as a master's student. So identities are both given and created through social experiences. This is an example of an identity wheel. Okay, so we have our given identities are in the middle. So these identities that we received as part of our DNA structure, as part of, so for age, just how old you are. And then the outer circle has a lot of different identities based on values, marital status, experience within jobs, military, religion, community, etc. There are multiple different examples of identity wheels. This is just one. I've also included a couple of identity wheels within the class. So I really look forward to this. Of course, as I've said before, I love this class. I really enjoy this class. Reading everyone's discussions and reflections for this class is one of my favorite activities. I receive so much insight and I gain so much knowledge just by learning from everyone else. And I hope that you are all having the same experience. It's been great getting to meet with you individually throughout these first 2 weeks. And remember, if you have not scheduled to meet with me individually, that you need to before the end of week 2 or January 21st. So let's have a great second week.